I've had the pleasure the last few days, as Dinah mentioned, to be able to go into your classrooms, to overhear some of your conversations in the quad, to enjoy an adult beverage or two with you in the evenings. And it's just been so heartening to hear the excitement, the conversations, and the passion around project-based learning and what you're going to do when you go back to work with your students. So I feel very honored to be in your presence today and want to thank you for the hard work that you've been doing. I went back to my hotel room last night and I had a few text messages from my mom. And so I said, well, I better call her. So I call her and I'm trying to explain to her what we're doing here. And as any loving and supportive mom would, she said to me, Brandon, I still have no idea what you do. And I said, Mom, most days I don't either. But as teachers, everyone knows what you do, or at least they think they do, and they're more than willing to tell you how to do it, right? And so I think for me, this journey is something that I'm just very proud of, and I'm proud to be a part of this with you, but know that we have still a lot of work to do. And I thought it was funny that Dinah decided to get a picture of me in kindergarten. But I can do you one better, Dinah. So as I was talking to my mom, she was explaining to me, Brandon, I was talking about project-based learning. She said, your PBL journey, she didn't use that word, my word, started when you were really young. And I started thinking about that. When I was in kindergarten, my kindergarten teacher, Mr. Dufresne, was the first teacher that I ever remember having us engage in meaningful projects. We were learning about the concept of community, the community we were building in our classroom and the community in which we lived. And that's the first time I really remember being engaged in what I would consider to be, in that case, a year-long project. But I was very fortunate because that journey didn't stop in kindergarten. I was also able to engage in a project in first grade where this notion of community continued. And in first grade, my teacher engaged us in thinking about different jobs. I cannot help but notice some of you are talking and pointing. So I can only assume you're asking this question. Yes, it's true. As I said, Mom, what were you thinking? And she said, Brandon, you loved that shirt. Fair enough. But in my first grade class, again, we were talking about jobs and the different jobs in our community. And that also is the first time I remember thinking about who I wanted to be, who I could be, and that my teacher opened up the world to me. Now, in honor of Ron being with us this morning, I thought it was only appropriate also to share some beautiful work that I created. And so here's a story that my mom also kept for me. Now, for those of you in the back who probably can't read it, I'd be happy to do it for you. It says, The Way We Might Live in 2000 by Brenda and Wiley. In 2000, we might live in space or underground or live in the water. A lot of things will be different. We might even have cars that go on a wire or a boat that can fly, or maybe a spaceship that can hold 50 people. In the year 2000, maybe nothing will change. For Mom in 2000, for Mother's Day, maybe you can get her a robot so she does not have to do everything. The robot can do it for her when she is tired. In the year 2000, I might be a spaceship fixer. Now, my friends, I am a few credits short of being a spaceship fixer. But you see, even then, anything was possible through the teaching and the learning that was happening in these classrooms. But as powerful as these experiences were, my most meaningful PBL experience was with my sixth grade teacher, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson engaged us in several projects that year, one of which was to do a deep research study, a 10-week project, and we had to get up on stage and talk about our project. My project was about Alexander Graham Bell, because at that point we only had the A and the B volume of the encyclopedia. I wasn't prepared, so B, I went to it, and here he was. But I had to get up on stage, and I had to present my learning. And several of us were also selected to go before our Board of Education. And so I was one of 5 students who got to go up in front of these adults who I'd never seen before, didn't know who they were. And so there's a picture somewhere that I won't show you with Brandon with his hands in his pocket in front of that board talking about his learning. Now, I share this with you because every single time I have the opportunity to speak to a group or to do a workshop, I think about Mr. Anderson. I think about that opportunity and what he saw in me and all of my classmates, that we could do it, that we were worthy, that these are skills we would need to be successful. As I think about all the work that you're doing here this week, the hard work that you're doing, I am heartened to know that just like Mr. Anderson, so many of you are going to go back to your classrooms and create those same powerful learning experiences that nearly 40 years later, I'm still thinking about and help make me who I am today. Now, it is not lost on me. Our conversation yesterday was very powerful. I was the lucky one, as were many of my classmates back in Hamburg, New York, just outside of Buffalo. All right? I was lucky, but so many of our students do not have those same quality learning experiences. You all are going to change that. The ripple effect that you all will have leaving this space is going to make the difference that our kids deserve and that they need. Now, I just want to say that we don't do this work alone. And so as I think about my why, and this was a message that Jackie brought to us on Monday, I loved being a classroom teacher. I did not leave the classroom because I didn't love it. I left the classroom because I worked in a school and in a system that didn't talk about this type of learning for students. It didn't create these types of learning experiences for the adults. So I went to the dark side, and I went to administration. And since then, I've had many stops on my path. But it all started with being that first-year teacher, right? I was super happy in this picture. I think just because I got a job, right? But I think back to this idealistic teacher who had all these plans and ideas in his head. And so my why, my purpose, is to be in service of all of you, to create and work with teams, our amazing team of national faculty and staff, to create powerful learning experiences like I hope you've experienced this week, so that you can stay in the classroom, you can stay in your school districts, and continue to fight the good fight that our kids need us to fight every single day. So thank you for being part of my why and being here to create this opportunity for all of us to make that difference. Now, I'd like to at this time to call up all of our national faculty members. Would you all come forward, please? Come to the front. You can just up on stage. Yeah. You go all the way down, Christy. Yeah, all the way down. So as they're making their way here, so I just want to be very clear that the work we do as an organization would not be possible without the people you see here in front. And they are representative of an even larger community of nearly 90 national faculty members around the United States. Many of the people standing in front of you were sitting in your seats at some point in their career and are now standing here leading you in your learning journey. I just want to say that, again, we could not do what we do as an organization without their passion, their dedication, and their commitment to this work to help you make the difference that we hope that you will make. So please join me again in thanking them for the journey they've taken you on and all that they do for us. Okay, now get back to work. Thank you all. Now, behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, in addition to our national faculty, these are the folks that are out in the field, we also are so blessed to have a staff, a growing staff around the country. And so if you are a PBL Works employee, would you please stand up? So I just want to say that it's been about 3.5 years that I've had the pleasure of being here at PBL Works. And I can tell you that I have never worked with a more committed, dedicated group of people. I have grown tremendously as an educator and more importantly as a leader because of these people that you see on the screen. So I just want to thank them for everything that they do every day in service of you all and the kids that you serve. But I especially want to call out 4 individuals: Debbie, Jamie, Lily, and Donna. Where are you guys? If you see these 4, Jamie's over here, they have worked tirelessly to make this possible for all of you. And so please join me in welcoming or thanking them on your way out today. If you see them at the help desk, if you see them running around, they're delivering lunches. They have been amazing in leading this effort the last few days, and so I just want to thank them very deeply. So now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce several folks. We have an award that we're going to be giving out this morning, several awards, the Pbl Champion Award. Each year, PBL Works conducts a scan of the nation, looking for examples of high quality and equitable implementation of PBL. The Pbl Champion Award was created to recognize one school, a district, and individual who has repeatedly over time demonstrated their advocacy and commitment to high quality project-based learning in the service of bettering students' learning and lives, especially students furthest from opportunity. In many cases, the recipients of this award have demonstrated a strategic and persistent approach to implementing and supporting PBL, even when faced with adversity, diminishing resources, and external pressures that they cannot control. I'm very pleased this morning to honor our PBL champion school, the Billy Martinez Elementary School. Monica. I'd like to introduce Monica Martinez, Monica Draper and her staff to join me as I'm describing their school. The Billy Martinez Elementary School is a neighborhood school in Greeley, Colorado, rich in culture, tradition, and high expectations for student success. The school serves 583 students in grades K through 5. Billy Martinez has been selected as our champion this year because of their strategic and ongoing approach to implementing and supporting PBL. 89% of their students qualify for free and reduced lunch, and many of those students could be considered furthest from opportunity. However, the school has committed to ensuring all students experience high-quality PBL because of the transformative nature they know that this learning will have for their students, both in their academic lives and in their personal lives. For 4 years, Martinez was deemed by the Colorado Department of Education in the state's bottom 2 accreditation ratings and in danger of closing if it continued on its current path. Instead, the school was given innovation status by the State Board of Education and supported by the Greeley-Evans School District 6 Board of Education, where the school is located. Under the leadership of Monica, the school has worked very hard the last few years. Their PBL journey actually started here at PBL World several years ago. We recently visited the school with our board, and as we walk the halls, you will see in the school you're surrounded by student work and demonstrations of learning through project-based learning. Students are engaged in PBL at all grade levels, whether they're kindergarten students working to design a safer, more environmentally friendly playground, third graders designing tiny houses. Some of you have seen videos similar to this week. Or fifth graders attempting to diagnose medical illnesses for patients in an attempt to learn how to help them solve those problems. The teachers and leadership at Martinez exemplify what it means to be in the messy middle as they hone their approach and they strive to be better every day on behalf of their students. PBL Works is very proud to recognize Billy Martinez Elementary School as a 2019 school champion for their tireless commitment to prepare all students for college, career, and life.
Thank you. I'm so lucky to get to talk to all of you today, and Brandon told me I had about 5 minutes, and after what he just said, I'm like, oh good, you said half of what I want to say, so that works. Our work is not easy at Martinez, and those of you who work in a school that look like ours, you know, and I often describe this work at Martinez, and all of us describe it, as the hardest work we've ever loved. As I enter my 34th year of teaching and learning with all of these wonderful people, I can honestly say without a doubt that nothing will ever equal what we get to do at Martinez every single day. And we get to do it together. 2 years ago, there were 13 of us sitting in this audience, and we were like, what are we getting ourselves into? And it turns out we've gotten ourselves into something pretty great. Because not only are we a family, but we've doubled the size of our family because of your board and all of the great people we get to work with on staff. Kelly, Tiffany, Andre, James. I know I'm going to leave people out, but those of you who come to our school and care about us. So I can't talk about Billy Martinez without talking about kids. And I wrote some stuff down, and this morning when I was going over it, I was like, you just need to be yourself. So I want to tell you about some kids. And I want to tell you about a little kindergartner who came to us with a behavior plan, an IEP, and we were concerned. But we did what we do with every child that walks through our door, K-5. They had at least a third of their day where they are engaged in work with project-based learning. And at the end of the year, they're working on their project for living things, and he came and sat by me, and he said, I need to know how to spell forest. I said, what are you going to do, buddy? He goes, I know. So he ran over, he got the sound spelling card, he sat down, and it took him 5 minutes, but he sounded out every sound and spelled forest on his own, something we would not have believed at the beginning of the year he would ever do. That's incredible work. That's belief in our kids. And Brandon was talking about our 5th grade students who were working on a product with the human body, and Kelly and Tiffany helped us evolve that project into them being medical students. And on the day that they got their patients, I just happened to be in Sam's room, sitting between 2 pairs. And as they were handed their partner, or their patient, I knew something incredible was about to happen. So the 2 on my right got the patient, they read it. Within 5 minutes, they diagnosed this patient. I said, well, what is it? They can't feel pain, miss. I said, oh my gosh, that's terrible. What's the treatment? That's it, miss, no treatment. And I just kind of was like, okay. So then when Pbl Works Board came to visit and they're presenting their boards, what I love is on the bottom of Victoria and Powell's board, it said their treatment plan was to be safe. And I thought, that's incredible. They at least came up with some way to take that. The powerful moment came for me with the 2 students sitting on my left. And that day, it was Brenda and Josue. And Brenda, who's been with us since kindergarten, speaks Spanish at home. Josue, who's been with us for 2 years, he's still in NEP status. And what I watched happen was this. They got their patient. They read together in English. They talked in Spanish. They read in English, they talked in Spanish, and then they wrote their response in English. And I thought, that is what this is about. 5 years ago, Josue would have been pulled into a classroom to learn how to speak English before we gave him the good stuff. We cannot let our kids off that hook. They need the good stuff, all of our kids. And I am not the only one that believes that. We all built this together, and we continue to go through the messy middle, or in the words of Lori Nichols, the peaceful chaos every day. But I want to end by telling you this. My daughter Brandy is here today, and she and her sister are my why. And thank goodness you guys don't know my mom and have a picture of me when I was 5. I just want to say that. But Brandy she's worked in preschool and early childhood. Very proud of that. I'm also very proud of how wicked smart she is. But she said to me a few years ago, Mom, this was when she was training teachers in training teachers in Las Vegas. And in a room full of preschool teachers, she asked them on that first day to select their most prized possession that they brought with them, and had them walk it across the room and give it to someone they did not know. And later when she came back, she said, "How did that feel? What were you thinking?" I want you to remember that, because every single day, parents walk in and they hand you their most prized possession. And what are you going to do with that? How are you going to value that? And Brandy's sitting there at 26 years old telling me this is how she does this. I was incredibly proud. And I tell that story to my staff, and I will tell it again this fall, because without that knowledge in your heart and soul, this isn't the right place for you. You have to love our kids, and you have to love them enough to give them the best education you can give them. You have to give them the good stuff. So when the board visited, I'll end with this. One of our fifth graders said to the group she was talking to, "Education at Martinez used to be about us answering questions. Now it's about us asking questions." The power of our children. Thank you so much. We're so honored. Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce my colleague, Chris Waldfogel, one of our directors of district and school leadership, to introduce our district champion. Chris.
Good morning. I have the honor and privilege today to highlight the story of one of our district partners in Burke-Burnett, Texas, who we would like to live up as our 2019 PBL District Champion. You might be asking yourself, what does it take to be a PBL District Champion? Well, to adequately answer that question, I'm going to ask you to pause for a moment, put on your PBL World Participant hat, and reflect on how hard you have worked this week to design a beautiful project you're going to be proud to facilitate with your students. You've been thinking about the learners you serve, their stories, their strengths, their needs, how to best meet those needs, how to engage their curiosity, entice them with an entry event, secure their investment in a process of inquiry, and provide assessments to ensure that significant learning has occurred. You have worked hard. Am I right? You've worked hard? Well, my friends in Burke-Burnett, Texas, are making that kind of investment at every level of their system. Whatever their role, their sleeves are rolled up, and they're at the table to ensure that every student experiences at least 3 high-quality projects every year. Every level, from the school board, superintendent, district, school leaders, instructional coaches, teachers, and other important staff members, they are all deeply invested to deliver on this promise to students. So what does that really look like? What does a school board do to support an effort like this? The Burke-Burnett School Board challenged Superintendent Tyler Chaplin to accomplish 5 goals for the next school year. Common practice, you got your goals. Goal number 1 reads, expand PBL as the instructional model for the district. I know, I love that. Goal 3 reads, develop a learning culture throughout the district, emphasizing the importance of PLCs and PBL implementation. 2 of his 5 goals explicitly name project-based learning as central to the mission. They're doing their part to send a clear message in an educational culture addicted to the next best thing. PBL isn't going away anytime soon in Burke-Burnett, Texas. How is the superintendent making this a reality? Well, he offers many things, but he also offers his most valuable asset, which is his time. When PBL 101 was first offered to the teachers in Burke-Burnett, Superintendent Chaplin was sitting right beside them, designing his project to make community-based accountability a reality for their district. And if you want to hear about how that project is doing and progressing, check out their website. You will see his public product on how, and hear about how this project is challenging the status quo on single measured assessments. He's leading this effort in both action and words. So what about the district leaders? Yesterday, Dr. Noguera asked the question, how often do your teachers get to experience the kind of learning you want students to have? I smiled. Well, when the district team in Burke sat down to design learning for their teachers, they thought deeply about what they knew about them, their stories, their strengths, how to best meet their needs, how to engage their curiosity, entice them with an entry event, secure their investment in a process of inquiry, and provide assessments to ensure that significant learning occurred. So last year, they designed a PBL camp, summer camp for their teachers. And this year, it evolved into a 5-star PBL come and get it extravaganza, hence my apron. And when it was time to check for understanding, they held a chopped competition. Take a look.
We're in it to win it. It's already decided.
It's stress-inducing music.
Bring it. Bring it. Ready.
Keep running.
Final product is cool, I just don't know how it ties to what is on that webpage.
And if that's okay.
They were all cool. Start out with amazing job.
That was a very soothing touch. I liked that a lot.
So what's next in Burke-Burnett, Texas? Coming soon, Chopped for Leaders. Who gets to judge? The students get to judge. PBL is in the fiber of the system at every level. It is their way of doing business. And for the record, they still have 2 teaching positions open. Come on up to the stage, Burke-Burnett. 2019, yes!
Good morning. We are so excited to be here with you, and we thank PBL Works for this award. We have been in your shoes, and we know how strenuous these 3 days of work are. Am I right, 101ers? It's hard, but it is the best work that you will do for your students. And while we have trained 100% of our staff, we still know that there is work to do and support to provide to ensure that our students have gold standard experiences.
Yay. And so when she said it's hard, the work is hard, a year ago, we were visiting with some teachers who, some of them said, you know, PBL doesn't fit my content, or PBL won't work for my students because they're way too young. And we just said, just try it. We'll support you. And we did the best we could to support them, and they tried it. So fast forward, just a couple of weeks ago, I was visiting and working with those very same teachers, and I didn't hear that message of my kids can't do it because it doesn't fit the content. Instead, what I heard was the compassion that they now have for student learning. The compassion they had for the students was already there. But now I hear the compassion for their learning. And so now those very same teachers were saying, help me better my project because I see the good of what PBL does for my students. And so we're going to kick it up a notch, and we're going to keep cooking up great projects and keep supporting. And so we want to say thank you to PBL Works, for the entire staff, for supporting our district and giving us insight how to do that. How do we support our teachers? And they've given us great, great insight on that. So thank you, PBL Works.